Hello, my name is Russ Goddard. I work for the Pennsylvania Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. I myself am deaf. First of all, I would like to talk a little bit about my educational background and explain how it is that I got to the position that I'm in today. The job I currently hold is a vocational rehabilitation specialist. There's a little bit of a difference between a rehab specialist and some of the other jobs that you hear of more often. Back in 1988, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in special education, with an emphasis focusing on deaf ed. That was at Eastern Kentucky University. Once I graduated from there, I then applied and went to the University of Kentucky and graduated in 1999 with a master's degree in rehab counseling. I'm probably one of the very few OVR staff members who has a degree from the 20th century. Several others have gotten their degrees mostly within the last 10, 15 years, but I'm pretty much the old dog. During my graduate studies, I took an internship with the state of Ohio in their VR program. So I stayed there and I worked as a rehabilitation counselor for the deaf and hard of hearing. They were called an RCD. I worked there in Ohio for 8 years. And then in 2007, I decided that I wanted to be closer to my family, and plus my wife's family would live closer to us. Now, I grew up in New Jersey. I do have family members in Pennsylvania. And so we had decided that we needed to have a change. Now, when I worked in Ohio, I heard about the different possibilities and opportunity to work with OVR in Pennsylvania. The several different office locations and stuff, and so I had said that I wanted to go and work there in Pennsylvania. So we went and we looked and went to Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and checked things out and was very, very impressed. And so I called a recruiting specialist here at OVR. Her name was Cindy. Her and I had a lot of conversations back and forth over email, trying to get paperwork filled out and all of this stuff, and it was just really a good experience. And then in June 2007, that's when I went to Newcastle and had an interview, and within a few weeks, I was hired. The first 5 years with OVR, I was an RCD. And then while I was an RCD, I took on different responsibilities and assignments and projects. For example, as an RCD, for about 4 years, I was a supervising counselor for NTID, which means I would be a liaison between OVR and NTID. You know, I would meet students there on campus in Rochester, sit down with them, discuss their progress, their classes that they're taking, you know, what they have left, you know, is their money situation worked out. Those were the kinds of things that I did. And then other responsibilities, I was also a union shop steward, which meant I would represent any counselors there in Newcastle. I'd be part of the statewide gatherings where we talked about different topics and issues that came up between workers and management. And it was a very interesting and good experience. One of the other responsibilities that I had is I work for Computer Systems Management Team, the CWDS. CWDS, we would have to sit down and we would try to figure out what kind of kinks were in the system so that we could go ahead and get those things taken care of so the system was more efficient. You know, we had secretarial staff that we would use that system. All these different people used that system. And then in January of 2013, I got the position that I currently have now. My current position, if you remember a long time ago, as a vocational rehab specialist, let me go into a little more detail about that. Right now I have several different responsibilities, and one of my primary responsibilities is to monitor and also to make sure that all RCDs in the state of Pennsylvania are providing quality, good service to those who are deaf and hard of hearing. So I reach out to RCDs, make sure they have the resources they need, that they're able to help those deaf and deafblind clients as far as placement in a job, keeping them in that job, coming up with different policy issues. For example, you know, how do you get interpreters? How do you get hearing aids, cochlear implants, all kinds of different things. And then also one of my other primary responsibilities that I took on last year was to develop and coordinate our own summer camp called the Summer Academy, and that's for high school students who are deaf or hard of hearing, and that's hosted at Penn State University. It's a lot of work, a lot of prep, and a lot of cooperation and partnering with different peoples, especially in special ed. You know, we were able to get a lot of people involved in our program, and it wasn't just that I had to come up with, you know, all the ideas and, you know, setting up partnerships and things like this, but they also helped me set up a great program. One of the other responsibilities that I have, that I do every year, is I review different cases from different offices just to make sure that they're following the state and federal regulations. If there's any kind of discrepancies, I make sure that I get in contact with that individual and point that out and, you know, encourage them, you know, for the next time. So I have other little responsibilities and projects that I do throughout the week and the month. But my daily job is always changing. I never do the same thing every day. Am I bored? Absolutely not. I'd never be bored. So in closing, I just want to give you, you know, kind of a pep talk, words of encouragement, words of wisdom as an RCD. You know, OVR here is one of the top-notch programs here, one of the best places to work. You know, whether it's internship or you get a job through that or you end up transferring here, you know, the support that your local staff gives, you know, professionalism, the development, personal development, you know, sometimes they'll even feed you. It just depends on which office you work in. If you're interested in being an RCD for Pennsylvania's Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, please contact our recruiting specialist. Her name is Hattie McCarter, and she's going to be willing to help, and also myself. I can also get involved in that process. So we would definitely be happy to help. if you want to come and work for Pennsylvania's Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, please, again, contact me or Hattie. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon.
Brought to you by the Department of Labor and Industry, Office of Vocational Rehabilitation.